Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. Nice to see, actually, I can't see anything, so I was going to say, nice to see some familiar faces in the room, but that would just be a lie. So today I wanted to talk about Canadian content and thinking about opportunities for your projects outside the Canadian border. So at the beginning, we're going to talk about what I've been up to for the last 4 years. I'll give you a little bit of insight on what it's been like to move from Toronto to London, England. And then we'll look at a sort of 50,000-foot view about some crazy things that are happening in the media industry today. And then I'm going to take a deep dive into some localized content that's being created around the world in both the Fox and National Geographic channels, so you can get some ideas. And we're going to watch a little bit of video to hopefully entertain you. And with any luck, at the end of the presentation, you'll feel inspired and motivated. You'll have some new ideas on how to create more content here in Canada. But first, I'm going to show you a quick trailer of all of the amazing content that the group that I manage gets to sell internationally. So please take a look.
It's been a while since we had one of these talks.
Today, there is more for us to discover than ever before.
It would take your breath away.
There are other human beings on Mars now.
They don't even know what the internet is.
Me chama de Bruna. Vem, eu te conto tudo.
If you're pushing the edge, eventually you find the edge.
We have taken the trip into the underworld.
It was just mind-blowing.
It's all just so wonderfully unlikely, and yet it's here. I'm gonna liven things up a little bit.
Now think about this.
I created something that you all now use every day.
Boom!
And so when you look at that trailer, you probably think, oh, she's so lucky. She gets to sell all these amazing American shows. But when you actually break down the library, it's really interesting to see where the content's actually being created. You can see at the top, we've got only 250 hours of North American-produced English language scripted programming that drives the entire library of 20,000 hours. We have 500 hours of preschool programming that's coming out of Israel, about 8,000 hours of content that's being produced outside of America, and then, of course, the National Geographic catalog, which is over 11,000 hours today. When I first started in London, we had the National Geographic Library. It was about 5,000 hours of programming, and we had one scripted show, which was called Wayward Pines. And Wayward Pines was starring Matt Dillon, so it was a great start. And trying to get to know the new business, I started to travel all around the world and visit our offices. We have 65 different offices around the globe. And it became very clear to me that there was an enormous amount of content that was being produced for Fox and National Geographic, where the company was retaining their distribution rights, but they didn't have a centralized infrastructure to be able to monetize those rights properly. And so I'm very proud to say that over the last 3 years, we've been able to aggregate 20,000 hours of content from our existing business. We've been able to grow the revenue 6 times what it was when I first started in just 3 years. And the team has grown from 10 people to 60 people in just a short period of time. We're now known as Fox Networks Group Content Distribution, and our people sit within the local channel offices, yet we report up into the US studio, which gives us a very strong backbone. So it's been a really exciting ride. Here's a quick overview of the channel organization to give you an idea. We talked about the 20,000 hours of content. It's interesting to know that they've localized their content in 40 different languages around the world for both Fox and National Geographic. I mentioned the offices, 65. National Geographic turned 130 last year, which is really incredible. It's one of the oldest brands around, besides Disney and Coca-Cola, I'm sure. It was originally started by Alexander Graham Bell, which is really quite special. And because it's a joint venture between Fox and the National Geographic Society, 27% of all of the money that's made using the National Geographic brand actually goes back to fund conservation and exploration and adventure projects around the world. So by selling the Nat Geo programming to buyers in the room today, it's actually an opportunity for me to save baby elephants, because that is what they do with all the money that they make. You can see that we're in hundreds of countries around the world with both channels, and we're in 750 million homes. So with all the noise about cord cutting, and while it is quite true in some countries, you can see certain businesses are thriving around the world. So don't discount your linear partners when you're thinking about commissioners as well. So let's take a quick look at some of the massive trends that are happening for our business today. I don't know if all of you do as much research as I do, but it can be quite overwhelming. I'm trying to catch up with Playback and C21, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Prinsario, Asia News, and everything else in between. And it seems like every day there's another 12 shows that are being commissioned. There's another merger that's happening. One of my colleagues is moving from one company to another company. And it just seems like, how are you supposed to keep up in this crazy environment? But what it is there's a lot of overall consolidation that's happening. We saw the AT&T purchase of Time Warner. We're seeing Disney purchasing Fox any minute now. Discovery and Scripps coming together, Comcast buying Sky. It's just massive what's happening right now in the business. We won't really know all the repercussions of this probably until 5 years from now, when we get to see sort of what happened. All of the studios are talking about launching direct-to-consumer propositions. This is really interesting. It's, I think, time for them to evolve and to change. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. What's going to be fascinating is to see what happens to the existing platforms that are out there that currently house all of this content. So what will they do to fill the void? Will they be producing a lot more content? And I'm talking about pay, free, SVOD, AVOD. All these people are dependent on this content. Linear is still going strong, as I mentioned. So again, don't discount your good partners around the world. We've seen global rollouts, or at least seen press releases about global rollouts of localized brands. So Comcast just announced that they're going to be taking Now TV out globally. I mean, that's pretty significant. We've seen Starz, which is a US domestic pay TV service here, launching SVOD platforms all across Europe. So this is a trend that's going to be definitely in full force over the next 5 years. We're seeing, I don't know, probably a lot of you in Canada, you had some friends move over to Los Angeles to start doing acquisitions at global SVOD platforms a few years back. If you talk to them now, a lot of their jobs are shifting, and they're becoming commissioning broadcasters as opposed to people who are focusing on acquisitions. So you can see the SVODs are really trying to produce more content for themselves, and they're at an enormous rate setting up offices all around the world, which I think is incredible, really inspiring, and it's going to help them keep up with this fast-changing business. We've also got the evolution of AVOD. Obviously, YouTube's been around for a long time, but what's going to happen in this space is something definitely to watch. Fox owns Hotstar in India, and it's an AVOD platform, and it is the most successful on-demand platform in the country. We're seeing increased activity in foreign language content, which is, I don't think, news to anybody. It's something that we spend a lot of time thinking about in our business. As you saw, we have so much foreign language content. And then something near and dear to my heart, the role of the distributor in the next 5 years. And I have a few working years left in me, so I spend a lot of time thinking about how I'm going to shape the business that I'm running today in order to be able to benefit the overall industry in the next 5 years. And some people you talk to think that the distributor's role is, going away. I would disagree completely. I think distributors will become even more important over the next several years. Distributors are problem solvers. We have a global network of contacts. We're used to being given a project and having to figure out what to do with it. So work with your distributors, get them more involved in your projects at an early stage, and let them help you close the gap on financing. What I'm thinking about when I look at distribution over the next few years is setting up sort of 3 different pockets. We're looking at a group of people who can really work on co-productions and pre-sales and help get more content off the ground. And then I'm looking at a group of people who will need to be essential in connecting the dots within these gigantic companies. Companies who are going to become so big that the right arm won't even know what the left arm is doing. And you'll need a central group who can kind of connect those dots and make sure all the outlets understand what kind of content is being created for that business. And then you'll need a group of people who are specializing in monetizing content when something is an inactive inventory or if something comes out of a long holdback off of an on-demand platform. You need experts who know how to monetize assets that have already been used. All right, so now we're going to talk about content. And while I'm going through the next several slides, I want you guys to think about, is there IP that exists within Canada that could work in these other countries? Or potentially, is the IP I'm seeing today, is that something that I could recreate here locally? And try and think about ways to kind of bring those 2 ideas together. So we have 40 different offices that are producing content between Fox and National Geographic. Here's some channels. You guys are probably all familiar with most of these. Fox Life is a lifestyle brand. It's located in around 10 different countries around the world. Voyage is a French language travel channel based in Paris. 24 Kitchen is a cooking channel, and it's in about 6 or 7 different countries in Europe as well. And all of these people are commissioning content. And this just shows you kind of where it is that they're commissioning from. So orange is Fox, yellow is National Geographic. So National Geographic Scripted, this is new to the business about a year or 2 ago. It's very difficult for us to find projects for Nat Geo Scripted that really support the brand and are true to our core values. It's also hard for us to find projects that are ongoing or returning series because true stories generally have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's sort of hard to bring those back once the story ends. So one example of something that's worked really well for us is the anthology series called Genius. This allows us to do 8 episodes each year or every other year. It gives us flexibility within the brand to sort of explore different areas. We can do adventure or literature or music or art or science or exploration or climbing, whatever it is that we decide to do. But it gives us this overall brand of genius so that we can put the marketing dollars to good use. So I'm going to show you the trailer for Picasso.
What is he like, this Picasso?
People say I am a genius, that it all came easily to me. The truth is, the only way to be a true artist is to work day and night. Lose yourself in it completely.
I want to paint like you, Papa.
Then I will teach you.
Can either of you paint something as extraordinary as that?
Your technique is all wrong. You have talent, but no discipline. I need to see things in a new way. Smash the rules.
She's his mistress?
One of them.
How many does he have?
How many women has he painted?
I want to paint you.
I want to paint you.
How is your new girlfriend?
She's whatever I need her to be. A bird, a storm, an idea.
One of us is leaving, Pablo.
You fight it out.
You were the one who said too much passion burns itself out.
You don't think I'm always right, do you?
You have children, women you love. Some things are more important than art.
No. Not to me.
He's a complete degenerate.
You did this.
No, you did. Everyone wants something from the great Picasso.
So if you have an idea for the next genius, please bring it forward. There's been rumors of Aretha Franklin or Mary Shelley, but nothing has been decided yet, so it's still open, and maybe it would be a Canadian. All right, now on the factual side for National Geographic, we have 4 different categories of content that we acquire, and this is consistent across the globe. So feature documentaries, one-offs, legacy series, and premium. I don't have time to go through all 8 of these. These are some of my favorites that we have. I will say, if you haven't seen Science Fair, it's a feature documentary that is absolutely worth seeing. It is uplifting, and you'll cry because you're happy. And it's a story about all of these amazing children from around the world who are working on different science experiments and trying to solve cancer and, end war. And they compete in a science fair in Los Angeles every year, and it's just incredible. So if you haven't seen it, it's in the theater. Definitely would highlight that. On the Legacy series, these are our ongoing series. They're, they usually go up to 10, 11, 12 seasons. Car repairs, pets and vets, all your regular standard things that definitely keep the lights on at National Geographic. So these are shows that could very easily be created in Canada, and not a lot of them are. So keep that in mind. Premium series are slightly further out of reach. They have really high-end talent. They have high budgets. They're beautifully shot, very artistic. And then you move into the one-offs. We have loads of one-offs in the catalog, usually showcasing people or our beautiful animals from around the world. Now, the crown jewel right now in National Geographic is Free Solo. This is a feature documentary that has been getting praise all around the world. We've been nominated for a BAFTA and now recently nominated for an Oscar as well. It's the story of Alex Heyman, who decides to climb this gigantic rock face without any ropes. And spoiler alert, he lives. It was directed by Jimmy Chin and produced by his wife, Chai. It's really, really moving. If you haven't seen this one in the theater, you have to. The first time I watched it was on my cell phone, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I watched it in the theater, and I was completely blown away. So watch it in the theater if you haven't already, and I'll show you just a quick trailer on this.
Does it feel different to be up there without a rope?
It's obviously a much higher consequence. El Cap is the most impressive wall on Earth.
It's the center of the rock climbing universe.
We get interview questions about it all the time. Would you like to do that? Yes, for sure.
Everybody who has made free soloing a big part of their life is dead now.
What if something happens? What if I don't see him again?
I haven't been injured in like 7 years, and I suddenly start getting injured all the time.
I've always been conflicted about shooting a film about free soloing. It's hard to not imagine your friend falling through the frame to his death.
Can't believe you guys actually can watch.
If you're pushing the edge, eventually you find the edge.
Moving over to Latin America, we've got a franchise that we're producing called Alerto Aeropuerto. And we're producing this currently in 4 different countries in Latin America. What's interesting about these shows is they're pretty basic. You're in customs, you're in security, you're seeing what people have in their carry-on luggage that's crazy, like can you believe they brought that? Pretty basic kind of content, but it's not being produced anywhere outside of Latin America. And these shows sell incredibly, incredibly well. You can see we've sold them into over 170 countries around the world. The next season is rumored to be somewhere in the US. So why couldn't it also be somewhere in Canada? Although I'm not sure how exciting our borders are, but I'm sure there's some pretty funny stories happening in security. Moving on to the kids. This is very new for the business, and it's only right now in Latin America. I know that a few of our Canadian distributors and producers in the kids space are already in touch with our team in Argentina. They are only talking currently, though, about acquisitions. Nobody has pitched them an original idea to produce, so maybe a little bit of a missed space there. You can see they're doing puppets, they're doing animation, they're doing live action. So whatever you have, they probably are interested in seeing it. And because it's a new build, there's a real appetite for content. They've just recently commissioned another 6 shows, so make sure to get in touch if you have some cool ideas. I wanted to show you today Science Lab, which is a live action series where you have two tween hosts who every day do these really cool science experiments and have a lot of fun in the science lab. So kids are learning, kids are excited, kids are thinking, but it's actually very colorful, poppy, and fun. And I think this could be something that could be recreated very nicely in Canada. So let's take a look.
Hola, mi nombre es Sebastián Villalobos y los estoy recibiendo desde mi laboratorio.
Esse é o Net Geolab e chegou a hora de viver no divertido mundo da ciência caseira. Meu nome é Paula Estefânia e eu vou confessar pra vocês que eu tô muito feliz.
Estoy haciendo un juego para alguien que le va a encantar.
Mãos à ciência!
Gracias, ciencia. Este es mi libro científico, donde busco todos mis experimentos.
Preparem-se, porque no Net Geolab a ciência te surpreende. É a ciência que está batendo na sua porta. E para recebê-la, precisamos usar a nossa capa leve.
La bata de nosotros, los científicos caseros de Nat Geolab. Y esto fue Nat Geolab. Es hora de que tú hagas los experimentos que viste aquí.
O programa onde as crianças podem se tornar grandes cientistas. Beijos, tchau!
All right, now we're going to move into the Latin American scripted catalog. This first series here, One Against All, is one of my favorites coming out of the region. It's based on a true story of a man that gets accused of a crime that he doesn't commit. He's accused of being El Doctor, who is the largest drug trafficker in all of Brazil. And so he goes to prison, and he's faced with these horrible inmates who just want to murder him. And basically they say, are you actually El Doctor? If you are, they're going to just, admire him and do whatever he says, and he's going to rule the roost. And if he's not El Doctor and he's actually innocent, they'll probably kill him. And so he's faced with this decision on, do I pretend to be someone I'm not in order to stay alive for my wife, my family, and my baby on the way? Or do I actually pretend to be this, admit that it's not me and potentially risk being killed? So what ends up happening is the real El Doctor gets arrested for a different crime, gets put into the same prison, and they both know each other's secret, and they have to live together in the same prison. And it's really incredible. As I said, it's a true story that this really happened. The ratings were completely through the roof on this show that we ended up scripting season 2, 3, and soon to be 4 because people were so drawn in by the characters. So definitely one to think about for our local broadcasters here. The second one is Lynch. I wanted to bring this up because I think it's a really interesting format opportunity. It's a dark comedy drama series, and it went to pilot last year with CBS. We've just licensed the format into Korea as well. It's really strong IP. It's basically 6 Feet Under meets Ray Donovan. And every episode, there's somebody who needs to escape their past for whatever reason. And so they go to this funeral parlor to find a new life and a new home and kind of escape whatever bad thing that they did in the past. So today, I wanted to talk to you also about a series called The El Host, which is The Host. In London, they say this is proper bonkers, because it is a little bit wacky and it's a bit out there, but bear with me. I'm showing you this series because I think it's actually a really great piece of IP for a Canadian production. The way it's structured is such that you're allowed to showcase the local talent, music, sport, news anchors, anybody really who's famous in your own country can be showcased really comfortably in this series. So we have our owner of the hotel, who is the gentleman on the right. He goes off, gets married, and on his honeymoon, his wife leaves him for her ex-boyfriend. And he's completely devastated, and he says, you know what, I'm done with love. I'm just gonna move into my hotel, and I'm gonna concentrate on my business, and that's it. And every episode, at the end of every episode, he cries himself to sleep eating a piece of the wedding cake that he never really got to enjoy. And so we've got a few different characters throughout the show. You've got a crazy bellman who is a very famous person in Argentina who is a sort of physical comedian who does all sorts of wacky things in the hotel. And then you've got a gentleman who is a famous impersonator who is in charge of all of the live events that happen in the hotel. So there's a big show every night, every episode at the hotel. And so sometimes, you know, the talent will show up, like Michael Bublé is in one of the episodes. He shows up and does an actual performance for the guests. And other times, this gentleman will book Ricky Martin, and then Ricky Martin doesn't show up, and he has to impersonate Ricky Martin so the guests are entertained. But these are all really famous people in Argentina, probably nowhere else. And every episode, 2 or 3 famous people from Argentina come on the show. And so they'll either be staying in the hotel, they'll be getting a spa treatment, eating lunch, whatever it is, and then Adrienne, our host, will come and meet them and kind of do like a one-on-one interview, and they'll talk about pop culture items as well. So we describe this as being like a Curb Your Enthusiasm meets Fawlty Towers, which is kind of a weird combination, but it's a great opportunity for us to showcase Canadian talent. So maybe give it a thought. Let's take a look at the promo.
Yo soy el dueño del Hotel A, un hotel boutique muy lindo que tengo hace muchísimos años.
Así los quiero, equipo, perfecto, gran día hoy. El chicle, papito, el chicle afuera, perfecto. Los quiero bien concentrados, impecable. Vuelve Adrián, no se hace ningún comentario respecto de lo que pasó.
Vuelvo a trabajar después de 3 meses de licencia que me tomé.
Sí, no arranquemos cómo estás, Adrián, para que él diga acá, separado. No.
Los 3 meses fueron por una daga que tengo clavada en el medio de mi corazón, una herida que espero que en algún momento de mi vida cicatrice. Dicen que trabajando puede cicatrizar. Puede ser que sí, puede ser que no, no lo sé. Deseenme suerte.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, muy bien.
Y no ella.
¿Quién es ella?
Ella.
Adri,
¿Qué haces acá, Milagros?
quería saber cómo andabas, eso nada más.
Qué simpática que sos.
No voy a patalear, no voy a sufrir, no voy a llorar, voy a estar de pie.
¿Te separaste? Sí, me separé.
No pregunte, ¿qué tal, Adrián? ¿Cómo estás? Feliz.
Martín, contame quién es el artista internacional.
Luis Miguel.
Está Mickey en el hotel. Ay, qué lindo.
Amor, amor, así dreams of green. Vuelve, que sin ti la vida se me va. Oh, vuelve, que me falta el aire si tú no estás.
But I get a kick. You give me a boot. I get a kick out of you.
So I don't know if anybody knows Michael Bublé well, but I think he would be great as the host of the hotel, and his Argentinian wife can be the one who can love him and leave him throughout this series. But again, that's up to the producers. So we'll move over to Europe and Africa. We've started to commission Fox content out of Europe and Africa now as a whole region. 16 different offices have to agree on one show, which is possible because we've done it once. But it's new for us, and it's something you should be thinking about when you're looking for your anchor broadcaster for one of your shows. You should think about, could I actually get an entire region of a global channel footprint to come on board? And it is possible. The first one we did was called Deep State, starring Mark Strong. It's an espionage thriller. It was written and showrun by Matthew Parkhill, who you might all know. E1 did a show with them called Rogue. I think it went to 5 or 6 seasons. And he's incredible. He did a wonderful job on the show. I sold it to Epix in the US, and it turned out to be their most watched series ever on the platform. Which was very exciting. We're in post-production right now on season 2, which has Walton Goggins in it. And so you can see here what we're looking for, returnable series, something that kind of makes sense for a European footprint. Male skewing, don't alienate the female viewers, and we want it to be 8 to 10 hours in length. So I'm going to show you the trailer for Deep State.
My name is Max William Easton.
I'm a British intelligence officer.
What are you doing here, Max? Well, I thought you were out of the game.
Yeah, me too.
You said it's done, that whatever shady bullshit you were involved in London is over, and then you come running in here with a screwdriver and you lock your children in the bathroom.
You threatened my wife? My children?
We've worked together for nearly 20 years, Max. You've never let me down, not once.
I don't do this anymore. What's this got to do with Harry?
He wanted to work for us. He wanted to follow in your footsteps. He wanted to serve his country. It's admirable, really. We're giving you the opportunity to make this right.
Harry's dead. The people he's working with, they killed him.
Why am I on the kill list?
What? Speak to Artaban, he knows.
Knows what?
We need to move!
I reactivated an old asset to sort out this fiasco in Tehran. I thought I had enough leverage on him, and it turns out he has the same on me.
Why wasn't it on the president's desk this morning?
It's unverified testimony.
We believe there to be an active threat, sir.
I warned you what would happen if you returned. Answer the fucking question.
Are we safe? Why have you never told me any of this?
I thought I left it all behind.
Now we'll move over to India and talk about Fox Life there. And if I probably took the heading off of this slide, you guys might think this is just like a Canadian broadcaster slate. It's sort of what I thought when I went to Mumbai for the first time and they showed me what they were producing, and I was like, this could all be made in Canada or actually made in Canada and sold back into here. I don't think there's very many co-productions happening between our two countries. I won't have time to go through all of these, but I did want to focus on the one in the top left called Grilled, which is like a Dragon's Den meets Hell's Kitchen. And this could be a really interesting format for our country.
Welcome to the tasty new format, Grilled.
Well, the name says everything about the show, I think. We are going to get grilled.
Grilled is both a cooking show and a reality game show.
What is happening today, Nozar?
This is a disaster.
Where 12 aspiring chefs and entrepreneurs compete against each other in the job interview from hell.
Baptism by fire is passé. It's time to get grilled.
Each contestant will pitch their unique restaurant idea and food to the panel of mentors.
You need to tell me in 30 seconds or less what you're going to do with my money.
The big vision from is to make Parsi food accessible.
Looking at launching a vegan bakery cafe, open house art East Indian cafe.
Mine is a vegetarian restaurant number because I am vegetarian.
It is about food, but it's not just about food.
The contestants are then split into 2 teams and set weekly challenges.
Why are we doing main courses? Let's finish the appetizer, na?
Oh my God, this is terrible.
What do you feel like you brought today to the team?
The panel will turn up the heat as they look for a restaurant idea worthy of their investment.
I did lose my cool.
My table.
I can't go and ask her.
I need the information. I don't care.
The 2 lowest performers are identified and 1 is eliminated.
I'm sorry, you're the first to go. I think this is the end of the road for you.
Leaving the final 2 to battle it out in order to secure the investment.
Both of you guys are neck and neck.
It's going to be fun for us, and it's going to be fun for you.
It proves that cooking reality shows are to everyone's taste.
Quite a sensation.
I believe that's a trend that's growing and it's here to stay.
It doesn't get more gangster than this.
The time is finally here. We're about to do this.
Should we get it going?
It's the TV show that has all the right ingredients to serve up something tasty.
12 committed contestants, 10 demanding weeks, a list of nerve-wracking challenges, but there can only be one winner.
And then Fox Life also has a feed in Asia, and this is a series that we produced in Beijing, Macau, and Philippines. And you might recognize the fellow Canadian David Rocco, who is one of the stars from the show. And when I saw David and we were selling the show, I said, oh my God, this is so cool. Who was the Canadian co-production partner on this? And he's like, oh, there wasn't one. They just hired me to be talent, which is great that people in Asia are thinking about Canadians as talent and they come over here and use them. But maybe it would have been better if we could have done, 6 episodes where David is dragged over to Asia and has to run through all the different local markets there trying to find his ingredients. And then we do the same thing to Nicholas, bring him back over to Canada and have him go through the St. Lawrence market trying to find all of his fancy ingredients from Asia. That wasn't the case, but there's still time. We are going to shoot season 2, so let's take a look at the trailer.
Each week, the celebrity chefs will be given a tour of the world's finest food capitals by an esteemed host chef.
We call this balut.
Before being given their first challenge, to recreate a popular local dish calling on their own style. But this is no ordinary challenge. Relying on their taste buds alone, the chefs will complete a blind taste test to determine the key ingredients of each dish.
What is this?
Interesting. That's a lot of spice.
Your time starts now.
Against the clock, the chefs will need to search their new city surroundings to find the hidden ingredients.
Okay, is this Gao? Is this Gao? Ah, yes!
What'd you get, David?
Don't worry, Nick, don't worry. I got nothing.
Cook and plate up before presenting their dish to the judges. Over a number of episodes, the chefs will be ruthlessly scored out of 10 in a thrilling ongoing scoreboard.
How are you doing, David?
I'm plating, buddy, I'm plating. 1 more minute. What?
Good.
The world's best dishes, created in different cities. But who will win?
I'm gonna beat Nick on this one, and I can't wait to see the look on his face.
David, you smell that? Smells like I'm gonna kick your butt.
What are you doing? What were you thinking?
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be really, really close.
Celebrity Chef, East versus West.
It's anybody's game.
So just some final thoughts. Definitely look for IP opportunities outside of Canada. There's a lot of amazing formats that are being created around the world, and it would be great to be able to work with you guys and try and connect the dots. Think about platforms outside of your country as an anchor broadcaster. I know there's a load of SVOD platforms that are commissioning content at a very rapid rate. Don't forget about your linear broadcast partners too. They have money, they've been commissioning content for years, they're partnering up with each other. And by the way, they all have plans to roll out globally, as I mentioned. So if you think about a broadcaster maybe just being based in one country today, in 3 years they might have a strategy to be in several other countries, so they can probably bring more money to the table. So ask the right questions. Make sure to discuss co-productions, find partners in other countries that can bring money to the table to help get more content off the ground. And work with the Canadian talent. Like I said, it's great that David was tapped to go and produce that show in China. Collaborate with your distributor. Try not to keep them outside the loop. They can be so much more useful to you if you bring them in at an early stage and make them part of your process. They know people all over the world. You probably do too, but they're also going to know people that are working on different projects and try and work together with them to bring more money to the table. And then just remember that Canadians are very well liked internationally. You're known as the chosen frozen, actually. That's what people call us outside the country. And we are smart, and we're funny, and we're innovative, and we're creative, and we're kind, and we have, open minds and hearts, and we're politically stable. And all of these things are really wonderful when you're trying to create partnerships in other countries. I've been really fortunate to be able to be Canadian and traveling all around the world, and I'm always met with open arms and people wanting to collaborate. So use all your great ideas and use your wonderful Canadian passport, and hopefully you guys can grow your businesses here locally. Good luck. Thank you.